It is 6 o'clock. I call this regular school board meeting to order. Dr. Salazar, we have people here for the pledge.
Yes, Mrs. Garcia, members of the board, this evening we have students from Liberty and Laureles Elementary here to help lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to ask their principals to come forward and introduce them. Help me welcome Mr. Escareño, principal of Laureles Elementary.
Good afternoon, Dr. Salazar, Madam President, members of the board. My name is Ramon Escareño. I'm the proud principal of Laureles Elementary. Today I have the privilege to introduce to you two young ladies that are committed and devoted to their learning, who make our campus and our district very proud. First up is a 5th grade student who is highly motivated, involved throughout her school day. She's a member of the cheerleading squad, volleyball club, running club, EAE, oral, Spanish, and part of our morning announcement crew. Her favorite subject in school is mathematics. She enjoys art, especially painting and drawing. When at home, she loves spending family time in the backyard and playing with her dogs. When she grows up, she wants to pursue a career as a neurosurgeon. I have the honor to present to you Ariana Hernandez. Next is a 1st grade student who loves reading.
Mr. Escareño,
yes.
would you send Ariana around to come?
Go ahead, Ariana. You can come this way. That way. My apologies. Next is a 1st grade student who loves reading. She has the most growth in reading of any other 1st grader in our school. She says books are the best. She loves reading because she loves learning new things. Her favorite thing to do is doing her homework because she wants to be very, very smart. She loves playing board games at night with her siblings, and she knows when she grows up she's going to be an art teacher or a police officer. I present to you Abigail Samarrita.
Here, baby, you can sit with me. Good evening, Dr. Salazar, Madam President, members of the board. I am Anis Garza. I'm the proud principal of Liberty Memorial Middle School. Today I have the pleasure of having two students with us. One is a 6th grader and one is an 8th grader. I will introduce first Noe Rendon. Noe, step right up over here, sweetheart. Noe is a 6th grade student from Liberty Memorial Middle School. You can stay standing over there. He is the son of Noe and Elsie Rendon. He is the one of 3 triplets. Yes, isn't that exciting? Boys. Noe is currently a member of the Patriot Beginner Band, and he looks forward to being in band in the next 2 years. During his free time, Noe enjoys playing outside. After graduating from high school, he hopes to go to college and aspires to become a dermatologist. I present to you Noe Rendon. Noe's mom is also getting represented here tonight. Awesome. Noe, stand right there, sweetheart. There you go. All right, next I have for you Landon Villanueva. Landon is an 8th grade student from Liberty Memorial Middle School. He's the son of Freddie and Ashley Villanueva and Yvonne Gonzalez. Landon is a very active 8th grade student. He is a member of One Act Play and enjoys being a Patriot athlete. He participates in football, soccer, track, and golf. In addition to participating in all these extracurricular activities, Landon manages to maintain and remain on the AB Honor Roll. He looks forward to becoming a future Falcon and graduating from Los Fresnos High School. In addition to that, he plans to attend either the University of Phoenix or Columbia University, where he plans on majoring in health science. I present to you Landon Villanueva.
These children are here to help lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Will everyone please rise for the pledge?
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. You may be seated. Thank you, students, for joining us, and thank you to the parents for raising such wonderful kids. Good night. Thank you. Mr. Castillo, can you please take roll?
Yes, Madam Chair. Ms. Sandra Garcia?
Present.
Mr. Ruben Trevino is not here. I am here. Martin Castillo. Ms. Leticia Quintero?
Present.
Mr. Ray Farias is not here. Mr. Jesus Amaya?
Present.
Mr. Donald Henderson?
Present.
Dr. Gonzalo Salazar?
Present.
Ms.
Priscilla de la Garza, counsel for the district instead of Elizabeth Neely.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We move on to item number 5 and 6. We did not have anybody sign up for either public hearing or public audience. Oh, actually, we do have public hearing, right? Okay, so item number 5 is a public hearing. Dr. Salazar, I'll turn it over to you.
Ms. Garcia, members of the board, this evening we present in our public hearing, I'm going to call on Mr. Ben Estrada. We're going to present the annual district report card. Each year we bring you information on how our and this year you're going to see in this report the clear impact of COVID, and we will show a comparison over 2 years. Some of the data is skewed because you'll recall that in the 1920 school year we went off for spring break and didn't return. We had to move over to a different platform. At the time we were sending packets home. The following year students learned from home, and those are the 2 years that we are comparing. You will see that we have a lot of work to do. We're used to seeing 90s scores in the 90s. You won't see that today, but you are going to see that we our students still performed above the region and the state, and I am convinced that with the help of the dedicated teachers and administrators in our district, we're going to get right back to where we know our students can perform. Mr. Estrada.
Thank you, Dr. Salazar. Good evening, Madam President, board members, ladies and gentlemen, all those in attendance. This is the Texas Academic Performance Report. This is an annual report released by TEA, and by statute, we are required to present it in summary form in a public hearing. That is what we'll be doing here tonight. Statute requires that district leadership be part of the presentation, so on this slide you will see all of your names and your positions on the board, as well as our superintendent, Dr. Gonzalo Salazar, and our executive cabinet, Jim McDonough and Valerie Laundrie, Ada Amaro Cibaja, and Pablo Pasos Duran. Also to be included as part of the summary are the District Improvement Plan district goals for the year 2021, and they are listed here on this slide and on this slide. Also to be included in the summary is the accountability ratings and the academic achievement distinctions for the 2021 school year. This particular data, unfortunately, is the 2019 data, and that is because, as Dr. Salazar was mentioning, back in March of 2020, the COVID surge hit, and in that year, the commissioner suspended STAR testing for the year. So the following year, the 2020 accountability ratings were also suspended, so there were no ratings, so they basically repeated the 2019 ratings. 2021 came around, and of course, as you all know, we're riding the COVID surge once again, and went through, and our participation rates were a little bit lower, and we'll be talking about those a little bit more in the presentation. But again, the commissioner felt that it would be unfair to assign accountability ratings on data that wasn't 100% complete. So again, he suspended accountability ratings for the 2021 school year, and again, continued with the 2019 accountability ratings. So that is what you will see here, and that is what is being reported as of today. Hopefully in 2022, as we come out of COVID, we'll be able to present a little more accurate data, or I should say more up-to-date data in terms of the accountability ratings for our campuses. Excuse me. Part of the accountability of the Texas Academic Performance Report is a student demographic profile. Back in 2021, we had 10,529 students reported. Of those, 10,180 were Hispanic, roughly 96.7%, the bulk of our district. 8,466 were classified as economically disadvantaged. And at the bottom, we had 1,975 bilingual ESL students. We had 739 gifted and talented students, and we had 1,413 special education students. Also to be included is the operational expenditures for that year, for the audited year. And just like our graduation rates, which are always a year behind because it takes time to clean the data and make sure that it is accurate, same thing with our expenditure report. So here you will see our expenditures for the 2019-2020 school year, and these numbers have been audited and they have been vetted by the state. Also part of the Texas Academic Performance Report is our staff demographics. Now, on this particular slide, there are 2 points of interest that I want to draw your attention to. The very first is the actual breakdown of degrees in our district. Right now, we have 0.6% of our teachers with a doctorate degree. We have 32.5% of our teachers with master's degrees, 66.4% with bachelor's degrees, and then we have 0.6% of our teachers with no degree. Now, a question was brought up earlier, how do these numbers work and why are they reported as such? So I made a quick phone call to TEA, and the highest degree that our teachers have is what is reported. So as we all know, you can't get a master's without a bachelor's degree. So to get the total number of teachers with bachelor's degrees, you'd have to add the master's and bachelor's. So in the district, we have 98.9% of our teachers with bachelor's degrees compared to 98% in the state. And then from there, we jump up to 32.5% of our teachers do have master's degrees. The other area that I want to point out is the areas of experience. If we go down here to the years of experience and we look at the percentage of teachers with 6 to 10 years at 20.9%, and teachers with 11 to 20 years, we have 41.0%. If we combine those two numbers, we end up with 61.9% of our teachers with 6 to 20 years of experience. Moving further, if you combine that with the average years of experience, which is 13.8, and take it down all the way to the bottom and look at the teacher turnover rate, which is less than half of the state number, what does that tell us? It tells us that, one, our teachers are happy. We have longevity. When they get here, they do not want to leave, and we are grateful that they are here with us. Now, the bulk of the Texas Academic Performance Report is, of course, student performance. In 2019, we tested 99% of our eligible students. In 2021, we tested 81% of our eligible population. Okay? So all of those numbers are going to come into light when we look at the student performance, because we weren't testing at optimum numbers.
So for the benefit of those in the audience, students were learning from home, and we invited kids to come in. We didn't get everyone in, and so we had lower participation in our assessment. But usually participation is in the 96, 97 percentile.
Yes, absolutely. We call it a captive audience. You know, when kids come to school, they can't go anywhere. They're going to have to test. But you know, last year with the remote learning, it was like, well, we want you to come in. We can't make you come in, but we want you here, and we welcomed all those that came in. But in the end, we ended up with only 81% of our students testing. And of course, when you factor in all of that, and of course the challenges with remote instruction, teachers being in and out with COVID, students being in and out with COVID, the numbers are going to reflect that. Now again, you can blame it on COVID, you can blame it on remote learning, but administration is well aware of the gaps, and you know, we own it. This is our data, okay, and this is how we perform. Okay, so no excuses. In the area of reading, we ended up at 74% for all students category, and if we go through to the right, looking at all of our subpopulations, we have the Hispanic, the white, economically disadvantaged, special education, and ELL. Now, of course, as Dr. Salazar pointed out earlier, we did perform above the region and the state. But when you look at the data a different way, especially in the special ed, 60% of our students did not perform. If we look at the ELL, more than 30% of our students did not perform. And those are the gaps that we are looking at, and those are the gaps that we're challenging our administration that we need to close. We had an overall drop in reading roughly across the board in all subpopulations, somewhere around 10%. Okay, some of them were larger, but right around 10%. So we're typically in the upper 80s, middle 80s in the area of reading. In mathematics, 65% in the all students category. And again, if we look from right to left and look at our subpopulations, you see that again, we managed to outscore the region and the state, except of course in the white population. Okay, but in this area, we're normally in the 90 percentile in mathematics. Okay, and then when we're talking to our teachers, this is the area where we see the biggest gaps in our students. Okay, the whole computation, because math is a hands-on subject. You've got to get in there and work on it. And this is where the biggest gaps that we're seeing, and it's as evident here in our data. In writing, 63% in the all students category, and again, you'll see from left to right, normally we're in the 80th percentile in writing. One side note, the writing assessment is no more. The state has incorporated the writing and the reading now together in one assessment. So next year we will not see the writing slide anymore. And in science, decent scores at 78% for the all students category, and again, looking from left to right and looking at the subpopulations as well. But again, our normal performance in science is in the 90th percentile. Social studies, 74% in the all students, and again, you can see the trend going from right to left. Normal scores for social studies are in the mid-80s, mid to high 80s. In our STAR EOC, you see all of the subject areas down at the bottom: English 1, English 2, Algebra, Biology, and U.S. History. Again, we did outperform the region and the state, but in Algebra and in Biology, we're usually in the mid-90s, and in U.S. History, we are in the upper 90s. So we did take a bit of a dip in those particular areas. English 1 and English 2 did take slight dips, but they pretty much right in line with how they did last year. And of course, in student performance, we have the three levels. We have the approaches grade level, we have the meets grade level, we have the master's grade level. The same things we saw in the approaches translated down into the meets level. We did take drops. Again, we had normally about a 10%. This is a 10% below where we usually are. And when we look at the master's level, again, kind of like 8 to 9% from where we usually are in terms of performance. the progress domain. Back in 2019, the state managed to create an assessment where we would be able to calculate student growth from one year to the next. Well, as you know, 2020 there were no tests, 2021 limited participation. So the state could not calculate growth from one year to the next. So again, these are the 2019 numbers. And again, hopefully in 2022, TEA will have better data so we can start having more updated data in this particular information, in this area. Another big part in the Texas Academic Performance Report is college readiness. And the one slide where we want to be below the region in the state is right here, and this is our dropout rate. And we managed to do that. So in the grades 7 through 8, we were at a 0.1% dropout rate, and in grades 9 through 12 at 0.6. And again, as you can see, we are below the region and the state, except, of course, for the 7th grade, we're right in line. Our graduation rate, the 4-year longitudinal rate, TEA does calculate the number of students that complete their high school education in 4 years. This past year for the class of 2020, 94.2% of our students graduated within the 4-year allotted time. And again, that is above the state and the region, 90.3 and 92.1% respectively. The recommended high school program and distinguished academic program, this area also took a slight bump in terms of COVID. We did drop a little bit there below the region there, but we are within striking distance of 90.4 compared to 94.4 in the region and 87.8% in the state. The Advanced Placement and International Baccalaureate program, again, our numbers did drop just a little bit in these areas. Normally, we're in the 70th percentile in these scores, but again, part of the problem was getting our students to come in to test. We also had students testing from home, which of course was cumbersome because of the way the platform was set up. So we did take a hit in this area for the class of 2020. And then finally, one of the things we're always curious about is how our students do when they leave us. What happens when they go off into college? The one variable that TEA does report is our graduates that complete 1 year without enrollment in developmental education courses. This year, 45.3% of the students that started school did not have to go into a remedial course. But again, this is the class of 1919, so they were completing their freshman year when? March 2020. So they also had to go to remote learning, so again, these numbers were also affected, which caused the drop. And that is the last slide in my presentation. Are there any questions?
So before everyone gets really excited, there's a second half to this presentation. This is one half of it. Any questions for Mr. Estrada?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Henderson.
What factor do you credit the low dropout rate versus the state? I mean, that's a credit to y'all, but what do you credit that factor? Makes the difference.
I'm going to defer that question to Mr. McDonough because I know that he is right involved in that.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson, Dr. Salazar, members of the board. I think it's completely attributed the success that we've had in having such a low dropout rate to our dropout recovery effort. We have something called the Dropout Task Force. I'm a member, Dr. Salazar, cabinet, many of our coordinators, directors. It's a large group, and what we basically do is we meet at the beginning of the year, and we have a list of all of our missing Falcons, and we basically go door to door. So we basically divide, we each take, we have folders basically on every kid that is missing that we can't find, and we meet weekly. We come to main office and meet, and we're out and we're knocking on doors and trying to get kids to come back to the high school or offering alternatives, whether it's CCTA, whatever we can do to try to convince them to come back in and to engage. And it's been very successful. What we're trying to do now is we're actually continuing those efforts right now. We realize instead of waiting until the beginning of the year, we're continuing the efforts. So we have Mr. De La Rosa, and we have a couple of other employees that are continuing. So We've had some of our secondary principals already sending names. Hey, this is a student that has stopped attending regularly, so we're realizing we need to, before the trail runs cold, go out and already start knocking on doors and seeing what's going on, what can we do, what kind of service, what supports can we offer. So our Dropout Recovery Task Force, it's not any one person, it's a large group effort, cannot be done. We have probably over 20 members that are on the task force, but that's what I would attribute it to.
I would add college and career, CCTA is the college career dropout recovery center, where kids come back and we offer optional flexible school days. Some kids either have children of their own or have had to take on a job, and so we work through an optional flexible school day to make sure they complete the requirements for graduation. Ms. Tammy Chambers oversees our alternative education programs as Dr. Chambers, as you will recognize her for tonight. So a combination of that, all of the efforts during the school start window, which is what Mr. McDonough describes, and then also our PEAMS clerks who work very hard to make sure to document every day if kids leave, they have to be coded correctly into the system. If they go out of state or if they go to another school, they need to be accounted for. Every student that leaves us is accounted for either when they leave or during the school start window when we go block walking, basically. Any other questions for Mr. Estrada? Okay, if not, the second half of this report includes campus incidents. When you have as many children as we do, you're going to have behavior issues, and we redirect our students. Sometimes behavior is a simple violation of the student code of conduct. Other times, students bring substances to school. Schools are a microcosm of the community, and the issues that are out in the community are reflected in the school, and we work very hard to capture the teaching moments. Again, you're going to see the data is skewed. When we do some comparisons, you're going to see that when students were learning from home, well, we didn't have very much data to report, not a lot of behavior incidents or even drugs at school, fights at school. But once they return, we do see administrators addressing these issues and capturing the teaching moments that come with them. Mrs. Amaro.
Thank you, Dr. Salazar. So as Dr. Salazar said, these numbers are a little skewed because of virtual learning that happened last year. This is a two-part report. The first part, which we are required, are the incident reports by campus and the actions that were taken by each campus. It also, part two, requires that we provide interventions. What are we doing at our campuses to target the incidents that are occurring there? This is a difficult report for me every year. You know, I think of like, oh, the discipline. But if we have to look at it, I have to think about it and say this is where I take a teachable moment, and all administrators take an opportunity to work with students to build relationships and continue to support our teachers as they focus on the academics in the classroom. So we're going to start with campus incidents reports. The first one is a violation of student code of conduct, and the numbers right next to it is just the PEAMS code that our administrators use. So whenever there's a violation, they code it as a 21, and that is how it's reported over to the state. So we'll look at, I'm going to set it up, if the maroon was 2019-2020, the gold is 2020-2021. So we're required to do a 2-year comparison. Some of the common infractions and violation of student code of conduct is usually frequent students who do not want to follow directions, or they're just trying to give a teacher classroom disruptions and not following the rules there, or simply a dress code violation. So we see here there was a decrease in violation of student code of conduct for all of our elementary campuses. Now, some campuses you might say, well, they have 0 incidents, there were no violations. It depends also on the administrator. Sometimes in the elementary, all it takes is, I'm going to call your parent, and we're going to have a conference over the phone. That works very well at the elementary because the students don't want us to be calling parents. So what they do is they take that procedure, call the parents, and do not submit a a formal referral over to the Phoenix department. Secondary, the secondary students are little risk takers. They're trying to find, their niche and see how far they can get. What are the parameters in the secondary campuses? We see our middle schools increasing a little more, and also Los Fresnos High School. So again, if we look at Los Fresnos High School, we say 1,140 at LFU, LFHS, and then 64. Again, just a reminder that we were doing this through also virtual learning. They're combined, Los Fresnos High School and LFU, because it's one campus, so we have to report them as one single campus. Felony or controlled substance, this depends a lot on the social trends. What we found last year a lot is our THC, a lot of the vaping, Xanax, and that's what the controlled substance is here. These students, if they are caught, they're charged with a felony, and our administrators always collaborate with our police department and to ensure that we follow all the proper procedures. That's what I have for that. And the next one is the possession of controlled substance. This is anything that is less than 4 ounces or they're under the influence. They sell, they deliver, they give to other students. So look here, it's mostly at the high schools where we have some incidents, and at Liberty Memorial Middle School. Mutual combat fighting in the secondary. This is when 2 or more individuals come together and pretty much fight. At Los Fresnos High School, LFU, we had 4 there. We've been doing a lot of conflict resolution, a lot of building relationships, and a lot of de-escalating training amongst all of our staff to ensure that we target any disagreements. Terroristic threat in the secondary. Last year, Liberty, Resaca, and the high schools, they had 1 incident. This year, none were reported. This is just a summary of all the reasons, codes that I just went over. And again, our highest reason code summary that we see is on 21, the violation of student code of conduct. It's the disruptions and not following our procedures. So then we go with part 2, disciplinary actions. What type of disciplinary actions have our campuses provided to our students? Elementary out-of-school suspension. These is when students are sent home, and they can be up to 3 days without a school suspension. Again, in elementary, we do not suspend anyone that's below 3rd grade. That's not allowed. So it's only from 3rd grade to 5th grade that we suspend. Again, we're going over with the goal that is what was provided last year. Secondary out-of-school suspension. Liberty had 34, Los Fresnos High School 37, and then we see the in-between between Los Cuates and Resaca Middle School. Partial out-of-school suspension. What this is, it's only 1. I know the bar is very long, but I couldn't figure out how to do it in the scale system at the bottom, but there's only 1 incident. Partial out-of-school suspension might be that a student at the end of the day or maybe halfway through the day had to be sent home. Instead of giving them a full day out of school, it's just partial day, so it's only half a day that they were sent home. So we had 1 over at Dora Romero. Secondary partial out-of-school suspension, the same way. They suspended him or her for part of the day and not the entire day, or part of a period and not all the periods. Elementary in-school suspension. So we know that we want our students in school. We have a captive audience when they're in school. We can offer academics, we can offer the resources, and continue to offer the curriculum that there are that day that's being used that day. For elementary and school suspension, we do not have an ISS center like most of our middle schools do. But what we do mostly is either send them over with a counselor, send them with a librarian, or sometimes administrators sit with them and offer them an opportunity to stay in school and to continue to work in their academics. So this is elementary in-school suspension. I apologize, I see the gold did not make it there, but we have 5 at Dora Romero, 3 at Lopez Riggins, and 1 at LSE. Secondary in-school suspension. And the secondary campuses, we do have an ISS, so we have usually a clerk or a paraprofessional that is assigned to in-school suspension, and they work alongside our campuses and our teachers to provide the resources that are needed to have instruction during that class. And the students work and the in-school suspension, or better referred as ISS, on their academics. Partial day in-school suspension for elementary is just 1. Maybe the morning they were in class, and then the second part of the day, say you're going to be in ISS, you're coming into my office or the librarian. That's only part of a day when they're in ISS, so that is only 1 student at Dora and Lopez Riggins. Secondary, this is in-school suspension. Also, it's partial day. In secondary, it's a little different because it doesn't have to be the whole half a day. It could be 1 period where they're sent over to ISS if they misbehaved in one period. Instead of suspending them for all periods, for that period, they're in ISS, so they go over to ISS during only 1 selected period and not all day or all afternoon. DAP placements. Most of these are mandatory placements. They violated, or there's a need to change their placement from their campus. We've offered between 30 to 45 days, depending on the infraction that the students have committed, depending on also their record, how much. If this is the first incident, then we might not go as 45, or depending also on the infraction that happened. But we go between 20 days, 30 days, or 45 days. There's a committee that sits and reviews. We have to go through the process before we place a student at DAP. We also have we monitor discretionary. Most of these are mandatory placements. We do offer every middle school and high school discretionary. We call them slots. We might say you have 3 slots for this semester. And it's working alongside the campuses to ensure that we're not sending all students over to DAP, but that we also control is how many discretionary placements do they have, and also how can we support the campus into providing support for those students that are not mandatory placement but as discretionary. Now, JJAP, these are mandatory expulsions. You have to send them over to JJAP. We also have our 90-day review, or 180 days. Usually the placement is for 180 days with a 90-day review, depending also on some of the infractions. But these are mandatory placements that we must send them over to JJAP. And this is just a summary of our 2 years and all our action summaries that we took. And the next part is, what kind of interventions and preventions is the district doing to assist our campuses, to assist our students, and also our parents? And I'm going to start with the guidance and counseling new programs. Right now we have an MOU with Nueva Luz. It's a social work program. We have 8 full-time social workers that are providing comprehensive social work programs for all district campuses. Right now, all secondary campuses have 1 social worker that's assigned, and then all the elementaries, we partner up the elementaries so they can share a social worker. So we also have Los Fresnos CISD mental health and wellness training, and this is allowing licensed professional counselor associates or any student who has a counseling master's level students. They're providing services at no cost to our families, to our students, so as long as they're being supervised by a licensed professional. So we're working, Mrs. Sandra Reese's office is working very closely in providing services for our students. We have an MOU with Palms Behavioral Health, and this is for mental health treatment services to students as long as we have parental consent. Of course, through all these counseling programs, the counselors work very closely with our families, with our parents, to ensure that they also have part in these sessions. And then we have United Way of Southern Cameron County Counseling Services. Again, they are offering level counseling students, master level counseling students from UTRGV, and they're providing services to our students and to our families. So that is what's new from the counseling department. We continue with the initiatives that we've had in place. I'm just going to outline a couple of them. Social emotion and counseling. We know that after students came back from the quarantine or being at home, we had to face some social emotional needs of students. So that continues now. We continue to have an MOU with the New Today for mental health issues. We continue to do school health advisory council and working very closely and providing services as needed. Character education, character strong curriculum. This was adopted last school year. This is for all campuses throughout our district and is still going very strong with our counseling at our campuses. Our DAP program, so we know that most of our placements there are mandatory. So what we've done, and Dr. Chambers has been working closely with, is our social emotional skills, also targeted counseling sessions. So we have a counselor there with Mr. Gonzalez who, as students are have an intake, we are targeting the reason they're there and providing counseling services for that behavior that they had displayed. Every time there is a DAP referral, there's also an intake process where parents come in with the students and they do an intake. We are providing agency lists, so we know that it was a substance abuse, or we provide an agency list of where they can get support. Many times parents come in and say, well, we don't know what else to do. How can you help me? So we provide this agency list to guide them where they're providing free services. Continue to do presentations with our law enforcement here in the district and parent educators. Also, Mr. Guerra's been working closely in providing CTE presentations so that we can channel their energy into programs of studies that once they go back into their campus, they can enroll in some of these programs. The police department always very collaborative with all of our campuses. They're very open to having presentations, to being visible in campuses, and also they make home visits with our administration. Administration sometimes does not want to make that visit alone or needs some support. They're always very supportive in providing us with assistance. And we also have to provide some support to our families, and that's where our family engagement department comes in. We have monthly parent presentations, not only on the social emotional, but we also do college academic preparations. So we look at every need of our students and ensure that we're providing some lessons to our parents or support to our parents, so they in turn can go back home and help us and work together with us and working with our students. And that concludes our discipline and campus incident report. Any questions?
This is a public hearing, so if you have any questions on the information that Mr. Estrada or Ms. Amado presented, it is open to the public for questions as well. And if any board members have questions. Are the counseling, the family counseling, and that's available if you're disciplined, or is it available to anybody?
It's available to anyone, and not only for the discipline. Sometimes their parents will come in and we need help, and at this time they haven't had an infraction. We make that support. That support's always available. And all of our counselors have the agency list. They have all these information in the MOU, so they're able to provide them to our parents.
Mrs. Garcia, members of the board, as you can see, we have challenges this school year, but we will be back. We've been provided not just the data, but also the resources. We have ESSER funds that we are putting towards closing the achievement gaps, a reading initiative that has really been well received by households and by kids. And so we are looking forward to all that our students will achieve in the coming year. Thank you.
Thank you, and I hope our parents take advantage of all those resources. We move on now to public audience and public comment, and we did not have anybody sign up, so we are on item number 8, district recognitions. I'm going to turn it over to you, Dr. Salazar.
Mrs. Garcia, members of the board, every year we set 2 meetings aside to recognize the accomplishments of our teachers who are modeling lifelong learning for our students. They are working to achieve a higher level of proficiency in the challenging field of education. So today we call on Ms. Lucio to tell us about one of the teachers on her campus.
Good evening, Mrs. Garcia, members of the board, and Dr. Salazar. My name is Karina Lucio, and I am the proud principal over at Dora Romero Elementary. It is my honor and pleasure to present to you Ms. Diana Flores. Ms. Flores is receiving a master's degree in special education from the University of Texas at Rio Grande Valley. Ms. Flores has been with Los Fresnos CISD for 2 years, and she is currently serving our students in 3rd grade. Ms. Flores has a passion for teaching and is dedicated to her craft. She hopes to pursue teaching in special education and one day become a school diagnostician. We are very proud of her and can't wait to see the great things that she will accomplish in her near future. I present to you Ms. Diana Flores.
Ms. Garcia, good evening, Ms. Garcia, members of the board, Dr. Salazar. My name is Pablo Basaldua, and I'm your Chief Financial Officer, and I'm here to present to you Ms. Carol Science. Ms. Science has received her master's in business administration from Wayland Baptist University. Ms. Science is of course, part of our DSC, District Service Center. You know, I'm sure you're wondering, hey, weren't we talking about principals right now? But she's part of our service center, and again, she does assist as an accountant in the Employee Benefits Department. So any questions in relation to our health benefits or our supplement or anything in relation to that, she does deal with our staff on a day-to-day basis. She has been with the district since 2019, and again, she's been an accountant with us since then, and she ensures that she addresses any concerns within the district. We are very proud of her accomplishment, and again, I present to you Ms. Carol Science.
Good evening, Ms. Garcia, members of the board, and Dr. Salazar. My name is Ms. Martinez, and I'm the proud principal at Las Yescas Elementary. The Las Yescas family would like to recognize one of our teachers, Nora Garcia, for her recent accomplishments. Nora Garcia has been in education for 8 years. She has 3 beautiful sons and is married to Alfredo Garcia. Although Ms. Garcia has been with Los Fresnos CISD for 2 short years, she has made a huge impact at Las Yescas Elementary. Aside from being an outstanding 3rd grade teacher, she is PTO president, our cheerleading sponsor, and a mentor.
It was no wonder that she was named LYE's 2021-2022 Teacher of the Year by her colleagues. Even with such a busy schedule, she manages to obtain a master's degree in educational leadership from UT-RGV. Congratulations, Ms. Garcia. The Longhorn family is extremely proud of you, and we are blessed to have you on our team. Good evening, Dr. Salazar, Madam President, members of the board. My name is Anis Garza, back again. I am the proud principal of Liberty Memorial Middle School. I have with me today Ms. Elsie Rendon. Mrs. Rendon is a sixth grade teacher, science teacher at Liberty Memorial Middle School. Ms. Rendon recently obtained her master's in curriculum instruction with an emphasis in math and science. She received this from the University of Texas at Rio Grande Valley. She is a proud mother of triplets, 3 boys that are sixth graders at our campus as well. This is her first year teaching, and she has really enjoyed every minute of it. She enjoys the impact and realizes what an impact a teacher makes in the life of a child. She also says that she is learning so much from her colleagues as well as learning from her students. She hopes one day to attain her PhD and maybe become a professor one day. Please help me in congratulating Ms. Rendon.
I'm actually pretty tall. It's just he's a lot taller, okay? Dr. Salazar, President Garcia, members of the board, I'm proud to present to you Coach Victor Mendoza. He's completed his master's in physical education from Emporia State. Coach Mendoza comes full circle. He is a LSCISD product, elementary, middle school, high school. He went on to play college football at the University of Graceland, offensive lineman. He then came back to Los Fresnos community to serve as a paraprofessional. And about 4 years ago, we had a PE opening, and we had a couple interviews, and the last guy to walk in was Coach Mendoza. Walks in, 6'6", deep voice. After ensuring all my bones in my hand were intact after our handshake, we sat to talk, and you could see the passion for teaching, for learning, for coaching, most of all for kids. And you could see it pouring out through his interview. It was amazing to see tall, intimidating gentleman was all heart. And from that moment on, we knew that he was our guy. And for these past 4 years, he's been everything and more. He's hardworking, he's dedicated, he's passionate, he's a great team player, and he's a continuous learner most of all. He coaches football, basketball, track, and everything in between that we ask him to do. This degree is a testament to the type of person Coach Mendoza is, and Los Cuates Middle School could not be more proud to call him our coach. So again, Coach Victor Mendoza.
Good evening, Mrs. Garcia, members of the board, Dr. Salazar. Today, I'm Ms. Grimaldo, proud principal of Los Fresnos Elementary. Today, I am proud to present Monica Cano to you. I am very proud of her as she has received her master's degree in the area of bilingual education. Ms. Cano has been with Los Fresnos Elementary since 2019. She started with me right when the pandemic was going to hit, but thankfully she stuck around and she started off in our language development lab, which is for our LDL students recent to the United States who are only speaking Spanish. And she's currently a first grade bilingual teacher. She serves all of our students but has a passion to learn how to better serve our English learners. At LFE, we are proud of our teachers that seek higher learning opportunities and those that never stop learning. I am proud of Mrs. Cano's accomplishments and proud to have her at LFE. I get to stay up here because I have two that I'm super proud of. And next I have Miss Karen Flores. I am very proud of Mrs. Flores as she has also received her master's degree in the area of bilingual education. Mrs. Flores has been with Los Fresnos Elementary for 5 years and with Los Fresnos CISD for 8 years. Mrs. Flores has been a teacher of different grade levels, always focusing and advocating for our bilingual population. Currently, she is a pre-K bilingual teacher, and her endeavors to seek higher learning opportunities is a testament of her passion of doing what is best for students. I am proud of Mrs. Flores' accomplishments and also happy to have her at LFE.
Madam President Garcia, Dr. Salazar, members of the board. My name is William Ropes. I'm the proud principal of Los Fresnos United, and I have two phenomenal teachers I have two phenomenal educators that I would like to introduce to you, because not only do they instruct in the classroom, but they also make our school better. They make their teams better. They make their English department better. They make our CTE team better. They make me better. They make me to be a better principal, because I don't want to let them down, and I don't want to drop the ball, to use a football analogy. So the first teacher I'd like to introduce to you is Miss Sofia Carmona. She is an English teacher with us. This is her 5th year in education. She started out in middle school until she saw the light and decided to come to 9th and 10th grade. A couple of years ago, she started off with our honors students, my first year at LFU. And after she saw that we were having some trouble getting a teacher to teach our regular bilingual students, she stepped up and she said, I'll take that. So we don't normally have somebody say, I want to go from go from honors kids to regular. Usually it's the other way around. So we're very appreciative of her. She's done 2 years with us now in that grade level and the sophomores and with those students, and she has done an amazing job for us. She has recently got her master's degree in English, and I asked her, why would you want to do that? And she said, first of all, for the love of learning, because she wants to learn. She wants to model that for our students. And she says eventually, maybe someday, she would like to go ahead and teach our honors classes, our dual enrollment classes, our AP classes someday, hopefully at LFU and not at LFHS. So I would like to proudly present to you Sofia Carmona. Next, we have another phenomenal teacher, Mr. Luis Muñiz. This is his 2nd year with us, and 2 years ago when we were interviewing him, his energy, his excitement for learning, his personality, if you've ever been around him, you just feel it. You feel the energy that he has. He has that with his kids. He has it with our department. I will say this again. He's made our CT department and specifically our health science department better because he's there. He is fit right in with them so well that I think Mr. Stumball is trying to take him over to the high school from us because he fits in really well over there. But more importantly, because his degree in health science has allowed him to teach some of our dual enrollment class, or not our dual enrollment, our certification classes. So at the end of last semester, we had some students who got their patient care technician certifications and their phlebotomy certifications solely because of him and his education and his willingness to accept those courses after being a second-year teacher. The ceremony, of those of you who were there, was amazing, and he's continued his education. He now has his master's degree in health science, and he's not going to stop there. He's going to continue going on. He wants to get his doctorate in health science. And I was talking to him today, and I said, please don't go to the college level if you ever do that. And he said, no, I don't, because I want to stay at the high school level because our kids are eager to learn, and they're ready for all of the courses that he has to offer. So we're very, very pleased to have him. His kids absolutely love him, and they did a phenomenal job. Mr. Stumball and I think we've both had blood taken out of us by his students. And they have done a better job than anybody else that I have ever come in contact with who've taken our blood. So we're very, very pleased to have Mr. Muñiz on our team. So congratulations. And I'm going to say this, his energy is also evident in his child. If his wife, there they are, if they want to come out and throw keys onto the court, I don't think that's what we want to, so I don't know if we want to say.
Good evening, Madam President, Ms. Garcia, members of the board, and Dr. Salazar. My name is Mrs. Pineda, and I'm the blessed principal at Resaca Middle School. I have the honor and pleasure of presenting to you Mr. Loera. Mr. Loera did not start as a teacher, but fortunate for us, after working 1 year as a Border Patrol agent, he decided to go back to school and become a teacher. He received his bachelor's degree from UTB in 2014 and started soon after as a sixth grade social studies teacher. Well, we know what happened after that, right? We quickly moved him to eighth grade. He's been serving Resaca Middle School students for a total of 8 years. Mr. Loera also coaches football, basketball, and track every year since being hired as a teacher. Most recently, he finished a master's degree in educational leadership at UTRGV. He aspires to either move into administration or become an athletic coordinator. I asked Mr. Loera why the change from Border Patrol to teaching, and he responded by saying that being an educator would open many more doors. In his words, I want to contribute in a different way and help people, as well as make a difference in student lives. I also never want to stop learning. I want to congratulate Mr. Loera and ask you to also congratulate him for being the first person in his family to graduate with a college career. Mr. Loera, thank you for all your hard work and dedication to our campus and our district. We are so thankful to you for not only being a teacher, but also a coach and a lifelong learner. I present to you Mr. Loera.
Two other teachers could not be with us tonight, but we want to recognize them from PLE. Leah Ann Bennett and Veronica Trevino also got their master's degrees. Can we give them a round of applause, please? Mrs. Amaro.
Mrs. Garcia, members of the board, Dr. Salazar, it is my honor and pleasure to present such an intelligent person from the Support Services Cluster as Dr. Tammy Chambers. We're lucky to have Dr. Chambers. Hold on, don't get that excited. Dr. Chambers earned a doctorate in learning and organizational change from Baylor University. Dr. Chambers has been in education for 14 years, of which 8 have been with Los Fresnos CISD. In Los Fresnos, she has served as in the capacity of assistant principal, curriculum coordinator, and currently as the Alternative Center coordinator. Her love of learning, gained insight, and experience will benefit not only her students, but all of us as her colleagues. She's an exemplary model of lifelong learning and an inspiration for her students, which also encourage them to obtain diplomas and access post-secondary readiness. Dr. Chambers' wealth of information and support to our district, especially to the support services cluster, and we're very blessed to have her as part of our team. I present to you Dr. Tammy Chambers.
I know most of the families of the master's and doctorate program graduates are gone, but it takes a lot of work, and doing it while you're working, I can't even imagine. So congratulations to all of them, and congratulations to the families. That was special. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Dr. Salazar.
Thank you, Mrs. Garcia. Members of the board, at this time we have actually, February is CT Appreciation Month, and tonight we are. Last month we were here, brought you one group of students. We have so many. We'll probably be here again in March, recognizing more of our CTE students. But at this time, I'm going to introduce Mr. Stumbaugh, principal of Los Fresnos High School.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Salazar. Tonight we do have the privilege to introduce some of our CTE programs and some of our wonderful teachers that have the knowledge and experience to provide industry-based certifications for several of our students. So tonight we're going to focus on 4 areas that include electrical, AutoCAD, welding, and Inventor. And so I don't want to steal our CT director, Mr. Rolando Guedes' thunder, but he's going to come up and introduce you to some of our talented kiddos and staff.
Thank you, Mr. Stumbaugh. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Salazar. First of all, I'd like to thank Ms. Capps and her students for showcasing their skills with the meal they provided for you in the back. Okay. And she'll be coming out next month, just to let you know. Every February, the CT community across the nation celebrates CT Month to raise awareness of the role CT has to prepare students for college and career readiness. We have a quick 1-minute video to kind of give you a glimpse of what our students do. again, that's just a quick glimpse. If you give me time, I'll put a 10-minute presentation. Now, we don't want to do that. But you do have a flyer on your next to you, kind of showing our programs. We offer 16 programs, 30 IBCs, industry-based certifications, and 15 career technical student organizations. These are our programs that we have where our students compete in skills, HOSA, and they go into state, some of them. As part of our showcase this week, we will be introducing electrical, welding, AutoCAD, and Inventor. And I'm going to jump a little bit because one of our students does have a game right now, and he is the goalie for the varsity team. So at this time, I'm going to introduce, in the area of AutoCAD, Mr. Montemayor. He is the instructor, and he'll present a little bit about his certification.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Salazar. I'm Mr. Montemayor. I teach architectural design, and in this class, students are able to learn the basics of school design, rural and industrial design, and with this information, they are able to challenge the certification for AutoCAD. I had 29 students certified this year. The certification allows students to enter the work field as an advantage versus those who don't have the certification, and if they wish to pursue a bachelor's degree, they already have a head start with their drafting skills and knowledge. With that being said, I present to you the future.
Just to let you know, some of the programs, that program AutoCAD is used to work on houses, create designs, brand new facilities, and stuff for mechanical as well. Okay. Thank you, sir. The next area is welding, and we have Mr. Gamboa, the instructor. And again, I had to choose and pick the amount of students because once he tells you how many certifications he had, we'll be here again all night.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, Rosa. My student, Teresa Dorado. She actually also was the third place winner in the torch competition we had in the sales. So I don't know if you saw in the papers. My course, I teach agriculture mechanics and metal technology, also agricultural structural designs and fabrication. Students in my class have the opportunity to obtain certifications in the Axis fuel system, the AWS D91, which is a sheet metal code, also D11, structural steel code. They can wind up obtaining over 38 certifications depending on the student. Also, they get the experience and the training and the decision necessary to handle the challenges in their career in the welding. Their salaries usually are between 30 to the 49,000 a year. So it just depends also on their location. All through the wind up taking the AWS. They say in the next few years there's going to be over 400 jobs opening for welders out there. So it's kind of something my subject that I teach. So that's how I
Again, she competed 2 months ago, and she came out second in the Rio Grande Valley area. Oh, I'm sorry. Over 91 certifications in the fall. Okay, so we still need the spring. Next one we have is Mr. Martinez. Mr. Martinez is in the area of Inventor. I'll let him talk a little bit about that.
Buenas tardes, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Salazar. Among the Pray Lead the Way classes offered at the high school, Computer Integrated Manufacturing exposes students to Inventor software. Inventor is used to create 3D model designs for mechanical engineering. Last semester, 20 students were certified in the use of this software, which will get them ready for engineering schools such as Texas A&M, where this software is used. The professional version that students are learning is also widely used in the manufacturing industry. Students were motivated by the fact that they can add these to their resumes when applying for college and for future jobs. Those students, they're not here, but trust me, they got certified last semester. Thank you.
Again, like Mr. Martinez said, this is professional software that's used out in the industry. And the last one is electrical. Two seniors earned this certification. The two students are here, but it's Jesus Garcia and Antonio Garza. They earned it through TSE, and they got the level 1 residential electrical certification. They earned 24 hours towards that. They were even given the opportunity to walk in December because they graduated. Okay, just so you know. Average starting pay for them is $16 an hour because they're advanced on the area. And pretty much that's it for this month. So, thank you. Oh, appreciate your time.
Thank you. And you know, these certifications.
We just got informed. Again, it goes back to the distances. I just got notified today one of our students that went through the EMT program is working on the weekends at the hospital already.
Amazing. Great work. Thank you. That's all for tonight. Just kidding. We're just getting started. So item number 9, district reports. Dr. Salazar.
Mrs. Garcia, members of the board, tonight we present our financial reports. We bring these to you monthly, so we wonder if anyone has any questions at this time regarding our financial reports. Otherwise, we'll keep the meeting moving. We have summer programs. The Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services Plan is an update. We have to bring this report to you every 6 months, and really the only change is cosmetic. Well, not cosmetic. We have changed the number of days that kids need to be out when they test positive, and to keep up with CDC changes. And then an update on the CCMR goals. Next month, we're going to bring you an update on the early childhood reading and math goals. Does anyone have any questions on financial reports, on summer school programs? Can you believe we're talking about summer school already? Safe return to in-person school, in-person instruction, or CCMR goals? Anyone?
Any questions? I'm excited about the summer school programs. I wish I was still in school. Okay, if there aren't any questions, then we'll move to item number 10, consent agenda. And we do have 6 items on consent agenda. If there are any items that a board member would like to pull, please let me know at this time. Otherwise, I will take a motion on consent agenda. Mr. Castillo?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve consent agenda as written, 1 through 6.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Mr. Maya, a second. Since nothing was pulled, we have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor of passing consent agenda items number 1 through 6, please raise your hand. The motion passes unanimously. We move on to item number 11, our action items. Item number 1, discuss and take action to approve change order number 1 and number 2 for the Los Fresnos CISD West Campus Central Plant Equipment Replacement. Do I have a motion? Mr. Maya?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the change order number 1 and number 2, Los Fresnos CISD West Campus Central Plant Equipment Replacement.
Thank you. Do I have a second on that motion? Mr. Henderson? Are there any questions or discussion on that motion? There being no discussion, all those in favor, please raise your hand. The item passes unanimously. Item number 2, discuss and take action to approve the Texas State Technical College Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, for the CTE dual enrollment programs for the 2021 to 2022 school year. Do I have a motion? Mr. Garcia?
Motion to approve, ma'am.
Do I have a second on the motion? Ms. Quintero? Are there any questions or discussion on that motion? There being no discussion, all those in favor, please raise your hand. The motion passes unanimously. Item number 3, discuss and take action to approve to dissolve agreement between the Los Fresnos CISD and the AMI Kids Rio Grande Valley for the 2021-2022 school year. Do I have a motion? Ms. Quintero?
Yes, Madam President, I motion to approve item number 3.
Do I have a second on the motion? Mr. Henderson? Are there any questions or discussion? Mr. Amaya?
Just a question for the superintendent. This is because they're changing their format and what they're trying to do only?
That is the only reason, just for for information purposes, AMI Kids, which has existed in our district for a number of years, has changed their format. The Juvenile Justice Department quit sending kids. It's a sad day because I don't know if it means that kids are not getting one final opportunity to change their decision making, but they are changing. They're going to begin serving foster kids by the end of this week. The last 2 students that were at AMI were sent back, sent off home, and so they're changing their format, and so we have to dissolve this agreement, and we're going to continue serving kids through foster care in the district. So our school bus will be driving over there and taking them to their respective schools. So we'll continue our relationship. It's not going to be as spelled out in this agreement.
Just to clarify the record, on action item number 3, it should be action item number 2, it should be for the 2022-2023 school year. So just
For item number 3? For item 2? Okay. So for the upcoming school year is what it will be referring to. Do we have that same issue with item number 3? No, because that's for this year. Okay. Are there any other questions on 3? Okay, all those in favor to approve to dissolve the agreement, please raise your hand. The motion passes unanimously.
So, because we're going to be checking with TA to see if we still need a location number. I think it was 003. It appeared on PIMS as 003 because they are serving foster children now. It is not it is a residential facility, but foster children are served in their respective campuses or the campus appropriate to their age. group. They're not a standalone campus, so we may have to change that. That means they would no longer appear on our list of campuses. But I'll give you an update in our weekly update when we get official notice. Okay?
Okay. Is there anything else we have to do on item number 2, Priscilla? Or are we good? Okay, thank you. So we move on to item number 4, discuss and take action to approve the instructional calendar year for the 2022-2023 and the 2023-2024 school years. Do I have a motion? Mr. Amaya?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve Valentine's Day being off like the rest of the world is. I move that we approve the instructional calendar, school calendar for the 2022, 2023, and 2023, 2024 school years.
Do I have a second? Mr. Henderson will second. Are there any questions or discussion? No? Good. All those in favor of approving the instructional calendar, please raise your hand. The motion passes unanimously. Item number 5, discuss and take action to approve the superintendent's personnel recommendations for the following positions for the 2021-2022 school year. We have a teacher, a registered nurse, and an assistant principal. Do I have a motion? Ms. Quintero?
Yes, Madam President, I motion to approve, discuss and take action to approve the superintendent's personal recommendations for the following positions for 2021 and 2022 school year: A, teachers; B, registered nurse; and C, assistant principal.
Do I have a second? Mr. Amaya, do you have any questions or discussion on the motion? There being no questions, all those in favor, please raise your hand. The motion passes unanimously, and none of them are here. Now we move on to closed session pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, including but not limited to 551.074. It is 7:27, and we will go into closed session.
6:30 this morning.
It is 8:15. We're back from closed session. I'll entertain any motions regarding what was discussed in closed session. Let me start out with the first one. I'll entertain a motion to take any possible action to approve the superintendent's personnel recommendations. We don't need to do that. But I will take any motions to approve the summative performance evaluation of the superintendent. Do I have a motion? Mr. Maya?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the summative performance evaluation of the superintendent as discussed in executive session.
Do I have a second on that? Mr. Henderson will second. Any discussion? No. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. The third item is to discuss and take action to approve the superintendent's, the terms of the superintendent's contract as discussed in closed session. Do I have a motion? Mr. Amaya?
Madam Chair, once again, I move to approve the terms of the superintendent's contract as discussed in executive session.
Do I have a second? Mr. Henderson? Or Ms. Quintero will second. Thank you, ma'am. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. Dr. Salazar, do we have any announcements tonight?
We do, ma'am. Just a reminder that Friday, February 18th, actually the 18th through the 20th is rodeo weekend, and on Friday evening, our Teachers of the Year, campus representatives for Teacher of the Year are being recognized at on the rodeo grounds. We'll also have our nurses occupy the skybox throughout the weekend, and there's going to be literacy nights there. On Friday, February 25th, it's a teacher professional learning day, so we suspend normal operation. No classes that day. We don't suspend normal operations. We just don't have classes so that teachers can participate in professional learning. We have a regular school board meeting here scheduled for March the 7th. And I do want to tell you about some training requirements. We're slowly chipping away at our board member training requirements. Sometime next week, sometime this week, we'll send you a link to cybersecurity training, and child abuse, if that's okay. Yeah. Oh, it's between now and November. Yeah, it feels that way. But this is for the new cycle. Sorry.
Thank you, sir.
We can hold it here if you like, or you can do it on your own. Using those modules. Yes.
Yeah, the modules are fast. We can do those on our own.
Okay. Thank you. Those are all the announcements we have.
Thank you. If no one has any other announcements, it is 8:15. I adjourn this meeting.